If you are a Zone 9B gardener, I want to quickly introduce you to my complete Zone 9B vegetable gardening guide, which is your complete gardening plan. It gives you all of your exact planting dates, which crops grow and what season to plant them in, specific Zone 9B vegetable gardening strategies, and more. So stay through this video and see what's inside, because this Zone 9B vegetable gardening guide will be a game changer for you in your garden this year. Okay, so the guide starts out with an overview of all the crops that grow in Zone 9B, what season they should be planted in, if they're a short season crop, a cool weather crop, and how many days you can expect before you'll get a harvest. So that's the first thing. The next thing is a planting schedule for all of your cool weather vegetables. I give your first spring transplanting date, your first spring direct seeding date, and your fall planting date. The next section is going to be your warm weather vegetables and the exact planting dates. I also give you your first spring transplanting date, first direct seeding date, and the last planting date, because some crops you can plant from early spring all the way into late summer or early fall and still get continued harvest all season long. So that's important to know, but a lot of warm season crops won't grow once the weather is too cold. And so this gives you everything from your first transplanting date to your last planting date. The next section is your planting schedule for perennial vegetables. So these only, get planted once, and then they grow usually for 3 to 5 years or beyond. Then I have all of your indoor seed starting information, and this would be for all the seeds that you want to start indoors prior to spring transplanting, or to start indoors in summertime to transplant in fall, because a lot of cool weather vegetables don't tolerate really warm soil temperatures, so you need to get them started indoors so that they can grow optimally, so then that you can transplant them out in the in the fall weather. Here would be all of your indoor seed starting dates for those vegetables. For example, you want to start broccoli indoors 4 weeks prior to your transplanting date, so I give you the date that you would do that for a spring transplanting and for your fall transplanting. I have transplanting and direct seeding information, because there is some crops that should only be direct sowed and there's others that should only be transplanted. There's also vegetables that can be planted either way, but in Zone 9B, direct seeding is preferable, and I just go over all of that information. I also have specific Zone 9 gardening strategies. I give you tips for planting cool and warm season crops, tips for succession planting, a guideline of how you would want to succession plant. So that just means spacing out your plantings every couple of weeks so that you get continued harvest versus one big harvest if you plant everything all at once. I have a chart for all of your cool and warm season crops and whether they're short, half, or long season. This just helps you plan out your succession planting. For example, arugula is a cool season crop that is a short season crop. So you can only plant it during the cool seasons, but you can plant it every couple of weeks because it matures really quickly. I have a chart for all of your vegetables and the level of root disturbance. So this is really important to know, because some plants can tolerate root disturbance, others can tolerate minimal root disturbance, and some cannot tolerate root disturbance. So for example, if you buy a 6-pack of tomato plants and you have 2 plants growing in one cell, tomatoes can tolerate root disturbance, so you could split those plants apart and transplant both. But cucumbers do not tolerate root disturbance very well. So if you have 2 plants growing in one cell, you would want to just use scissors and snip one of those plants off and then just transplant the one plant all by itself, because if you separate them at the roots, you're going to stress the plant out and it's not going to grow well. But ideally, in Zone 9B especially, you would just want to plant your cucumbers and squashes and other things that only tolerate minimal root disturbance. You would want to just plant those by seed directly into the garden. And then there's other things like carrots and baby mixed lettuce that should always be planted by seed. Don't ever buy them as transplants. So all of that information is here in the guide. And then I have some warm season vegetable favorites that grow really well in our hot summers. And then I have some cool season vegetable favorites that do really well in the cooler seasons, because they have special attributes such as slow to bolt or quick to mature, so that you can get that harvest before it gets too warm. And then it ends with a resources page of just further things that will help you out in your gardening journey. So if you're interested in getting your Zone 9B gardening guide, check out the link below, or if you're already on the sales page, just click the buy now button. I promise this guide will make your life so much easier. Having all those planting dates and strategies all in one guide is just so helpful. And so get your guide today, and I will connect with you soon.